Joining me right now with the legislative calendar and what we should expect is Louisiana Congressman. He is House Minority Whip Steve Scalise. Congressman, it's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
Great to be back with you, Maria. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
And to you, happy Thanksgiving weekend to you and your family. Congressman, I want to get your thoughts on what could get done for the rest of the year. How many legislative days are left, given the fact that you all have, four major things to work on? It's not just the Build Back Better plan. It's also the potential for a shutdown of government. You've got to fund the government. You've got the NDAA as well. What happens within the next 30 days?
Right. While the Democrats have been on this big drunken spending spree, raising taxes, spending trillions of dollars, they've neglected to take care of the basic forms and functions of government. And that is, with the House, Senate, and White House all in Democrat hands, they still haven't passed an appropriations bill to fund any of the agencies of government properly through both chambers. So now we're facing yet another crises, another shutdown. You've got the debt ceiling looming. Because they've spent trillions more dollars, we're about to max out our credit card again. And what is their answer? They passed over to the Senate trillions more in spending, Maria. And by the way, deficit spending, that'll all go to the debt. They don't care about who's going to pay for this. They're going to ultimately wait till the midnight hour. This is what Speaker Pelosi always does. Wait till the midnight hour and then blame Republicans somehow when they control the House, Senate, and White House. They're running us up to yet another deadline. They'll probably do something short term again because they're not having any long term serious negotiations with Republicans on solving any of these problems. And the answer to the problems, by the way, is not spending trillions more dollars. It's not raising taxes on hardworking families. It's starting to live within our means and trying to get people back to work, getting our economy back opened again. Those are the things they should be focused on. It's not where they are.
Well, I think you made a lot of important points, and I want to get back to this Build Back Better plan because the Committee for a Responsible Budget says that it's actually costing $5 trillion. $4.9 trillion is the number that Maya McGinnis gave us in terms of the cost of this plan, even though I know that your colleagues on the left are selling it as if it costs $1.8 trillion. Actually, Joe Biden says it costs nothing, so he's all the way down at zero. But, Congressman, what the heck went on Friday? Because I got a lot of calls from Wall Street sources who said to me, Maria, this was all coordinated to come out with news that you're going to stop travel from several countries, and New York puts in a state of emergency on Friday, even though we don't even know if the Omicron variant is here in America. It probably is, and caused markets to sell off the way they did. They sent oil prices down 13% on Friday. What are your thoughts on all of this travel restriction that the Biden administration is talking about? Joe Biden's going to take to the podium today and explain it.
Look, President Biden has botched his handling of COVID from the beginning, and he campaigned, by the way, this was one of the centerpieces, that he would do it so much differently. Well, he walked in on day one as president with three approved vaccines. He doesn't have anything new there on the vaccine front. He surely hasn't done anything to advance therapeutics. And then we've seen resurgence of COVID take down our economy again. We've seen more deaths, by the way, more COVID deaths under President Biden than President Trump. I know the media, mainstream media, doesn't want to report any of that because he's mishandled this in so many different ways. He doesn't even have an FDA director approved. There's so many problems that this administration has created under COVID. And now it seems like they want to talk about more shutdowns. That's not where people want to be. They want to work through this. There's vaccines, there's therapeutics. Let's advance that. We should be having hearings on the origins of COVID, as you were talking about earlier. They want to completely ignore that because all roads lead back to China. When any expert looks at this variant, it probably started in the Wuhan lab, not from a bat to a human. So they don't want to properly manage this because President Biden doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have a plan for the economy. He doesn't have a plan for inflation. His plans are to keep spending more money, and that's what's creating all the problems. So the crises crises is only getting worse. Border crisis is getting worse, too, by the way.
it could actually even be worse than that. The fact that, yeah, we've seen this incompetence in terms of handling the virus. There's also major conflicts of interest. We've been talking this morning about Hunter Biden and the diamond ring that he accepted from the Chinese Communist Party, $80,000 in value. And so maybe that's why Joe Biden refuses to bring up the origins of COVID when he speaks with Xi Jinping, which he spoke with him at least 3 or 4 times this year. Not once did he raise the origins of COVID-19.
Yeah, it's unbelievable when many top scientists have said this was not a naturally occurring virus. There are other viruses that they've studied that are. This one, from all accounts, is not, and it most likely started in the Wuhan lab. There was gain-of-function research going on that may have even been funded by the National Institute of Health through indirect parties. They don't want to investigate any of that. And frankly, people want to know those answers because we don't want this to happen again. Look at some states who have handled this well. They're doing better than the states who have shut everything down, yet there's talk of shutting things down again. That's why you saw the markets tank. They've got to focus on getting our economy back in order and stopping this from happening again. And if it was in that lab in Wuhan, we ought to be investigating it thoroughly.
Exactly. Congressman, real quick on this multi-trillion-dollar spending bill, I know that the White House is holding a series of roundtables and town halls to try to break down the bill into smaller chunks like child care. What does the climate change say? They want voters to feel like they understand what this massive spending is. Congressman, give us your take on whether or not this plan or any version of it, do you believe, passes?
Well, I sure hope none of it passes, because if you look, voters in Virginia already spoke out overwhelmingly. They said they don't want more spending. They don't want more government control. They don't want government telling parents to stay out of their kids' education. They don't want government spending trillions more dollars, because that's what's driving inflation. And if you spend trillions more, you'll get even higher inflation. That's what voters said in Virginia, which is not a red or purple state. Yet they want to ignore that and just keep ramming the spending down people's throats because they're drunken sailors on all of the spending. And apologies to sailors who drink, because they don't even want to be compared to these folks. But look, the answer should be to focus on what works in our economy, what works on getting people going again, getting the economy back open again. It should not be more spending, but that's all they want to do. And they're going to keep trying to sell it, but nobody's buying it, yet they're forcing it down their throats anyway. If it's $1.5 trillion, it's too much.
Yeah. We will see what President Biden has to say today when he explains this new variant and whether or not this is going to lead to further closings. Congressman, great to see you. Happy holidays. Come back soon, and we will catch up soon. Steve Scalise joining us this morning.
Always great to be back with you.